everyone, welcome to the stream. Let's turn that down a little bit. There we go. Hello to Jenny, Timeblind, Wendy, DJ Mule. Did I already say Jenny? I did say Jenny. Jenny first. Hey Valkyrie, welcome to the stream. Hello everyone. Welcome to my silly little stream. It's good to see everyone here. I'm going to be doing a little bit of photo editing. First, I'm going to be compositing a picture of the sun that I took with my telescope. I've already composited these pictures before, but I feel like I could do like a better job of it if I pick away at it for a while. We'll see. And I thought people might be interested. If people here have seen my Mars trilogy video and seen some of my astrophotography in there, people might enjoy this while we hang out and wait for more people to show up into the stream. I'm also still remembering how Streamlabs works, and I'm going to update this to now have my dono goals on it. I don't know how many people get donut. No, it's nothing. I don't know how many people here would like to donate. I have not tried to set my previous goal when I was streaming with a bigger audience, but yeah, I've set 800 as an optimistic goal to like see if we get there, and I have set a 350 reward because I have some 10-minute long jokes and I thought it might be it might be a good motivator to people who want to see my type 1, my my type 10, sorry, which is just one joke the whole time. Anyway, right, we're going to do photo editing. We're going over to the wrong screen, apparently. That's cool. That's really fucking sick. It's gonna be that one. Yeah. Let's look at this first. The link that Mule just sent. More than 1 million protesters join Italian strike for Gaza flotilla. See here, Italian PM Meloni. Right, literally a fascist. Her party is literally the Italian Brotherhood or whatever. She's condemning it. she can condemn it, but when 1 million people, that's worthwhile actually. Italian population, probably a bit bigger than the UK, right? Oh, okay, just a little bit smaller. Like 1 million is then a significant percentage, right? Of the like 1/60 it's 1.6% of the whole country is currently part of the walkout. That's pretty crazy. It's just incredible to see this kind of shift, right? It's really amazing, and it's probably going to be worth for the rest of the stream today thinking a little bit about like. Nomdanet, thank you for subscribing. Insert 10-minute long sub message. Yeah, it's going to be worth thinking about what people call theory of change, which like people have gotten very sick of this term, I think, in activist circles from hearing it so much. But like on a basic level, if today we're going to look at some liberal slop, and oh boy, we're going to look at some liberal slop. You know, I think the liberal slop class is properly back in session with this stream. We have a lot to look at and consider. But yeah, I think it's worth thinking about like how political change happens on a large scale according to different people's understandings of the world. Yeah, and I think that it's so striking to anyone who cares about the genocide in Gaza that like the political establishment would so clearly so much rather work with fascists than have the people act in solidarity with each other. Everybody hates Ezra Klein. Yeah, big time. Hey Middle Earth Marxist, hey Zelda, Husker, hey Husker, BCS Nicholas, hey welcome to the stream, Weirdo of Oz, lovely to see you. Who else has joined? Catgirl Steph, hello, meow meow. Everyone be aware, I've now got Nightbot running again. You can do commands like command tip. Gonna be streaming and I'm doing my job when I'm streaming, so it's nice to get paid for my job. I've forgotten all the spiel. I used to do. Right, so we are gonna start off with looking at some sun pictures I took with my telescope. And trying to... Oh, why is this there? There it is. Trying to get the most detail we can out of them. While chatting about how everybody's doing. How's everybody doing? How's your week been? I'm gonna try and hopefully do these streams weekly again. Like I said, do this on Fridays repeatedly. But it might be less often than that. It's definitely not gonna be more often than that because I'm trying to be really kind to myself with my work. So what have we got? Oh, that one's garbage. That one's just like completely off the screen. So I've got two photos of everything because I've got the JPEG and the RAW, and I have not become enough of a photography nerd yet, to be messing around with the RAW files properly. But basically what I'm going to do is just like mess around with the curves and the contrast and stack these together because as you can see, I take them zoomed right in. Catgirl Steph says, currently big anxiety because of the storm. What's the storm? I don't know about this. Widow of Oz says, you see nothing. Oh. Okay. Whatever. I take back reading that Storm Amy. I don't know about this. Let me just look in the other tab. This is something currently passing over the UK. Amber warnings for 95-mile-an-hour winds. Fucking hell. So it's currently hitting Northern Ireland and Northern Scotland most especially. Shit. I hope everyone's okay. Flood risk. Oh shit, that's the worst. The most of Southwark, I live in Southwark, most of Southwark experiences flooding with like regular, when there's like heavy rain, and it's just so bizarre like living in a place that you know will be under water in like 5 to 10 years time, will be like underwater quite regularly. Mule says, went out on my bike to pick up some leaflets and the wind moved me bike and I'm in Manny, as you know. Fucking hell. Like, I don't think of a bike as a thing that can catch the wind very easily. That's a bit nuts. This calls for increased nuclear submarine spending. Yeah, that's right, Middle Earth Marxist. What doesn't? Whatever ever doesn't call for increased nuclear submarine spending? Alright, so that's all of them. What am I going to use? Probably... Is this the right folder? Is this the one I wanted to use? It's not even the folder I wanted to use, guys. Guys, I'm in completely the wrong folder. I want to be using fucking this one. Hello. Look how much detail I've got in these shots. These ones are good as fuck. So you've got in here a sunspot that you can see kind of side on, so you can observe a bit of the Wilson effect with it compared to its like direct neighbors in the shot. And this one has like several sort of small umbrae within the one umbra. Good as fuck, right? Hey Million Peaches, welcome to the stream. Timeblind says all our outside lifts have gone down. Nightmare day. Oh god, so hard. I'm so sorry to hear that. That sucks. Princess Beck Knight 666. Hello, welcome to the stream. Solar photography. Let's fucking go. Hell yeah, I am stoked. All right, which ones are we gonna use here? So probably the last two. Oh, I remember this one. Yeah, I had a quite clear day and I just fucking spammed it. Like, took a million pictures of every every bit that I could. All right, 820. Let's start there. Oh yeah, what I tend to do, by the way, is I get previous shots of composited and put them onto my thing, so I can make sure that they're like kind of positioned the same and the same size, because I want to, because like I did in the video, I really like making animations out of these and like showing the sun with like daily pictures in a time lapse. Valerie says, yeah, it's blowing about here. Shit. Okay, well, I expect to feel some amount of that in the next couple of days, I suppose. Anyone read any good fiction books lately? I have started with my partner reading the culture novels by Ian M. Banks. We're currently on the first one, so we're still considering Phoebus at this point. And my partner keeps on apologizing for the book a little bit. Like, how did she put it? It's like, Banks is trying to reel in the readers with more sort of populist stuff, like lots of action fight sequences and whatever. But I'm still really enjoying it. Like, I actually don't think that stuff's. I think I can totally see that he is doing that, but I think it's fun. I think it's fun enough. Okay. And this corner. Why has that done nothing? Oh, crikey, I've got a bunch of things open. Ooh, why is this full screen? Stop that. 24. Sure. The worst of this is definitely trying to size these the same when you're once a bunch of them are crowded on screen, because you haven't got like a reference frame that necessarily has all its edges on screen. It's tricky. You what, mate? You absolutely what, mate? There we go. How do you do solo photography? So if you saw my Mars trilogy video, like I got a telescope, I put there's a little shot of me working it at some point. It's quite long and what is it, 150 millimeter ish diameter, and basically in the focus rack of the focus tube of the telescope, you can get an attachment that's just called a nose that slots in, and also on the other end can have the adapter for to fit a camera body. Actually, I got my camera here. I can just gesture. So it slots into the focus tube, and then you can remotely operate the camera to take pictures. I also have a solar filter, which is very important, and you should always use, and you should never not use, even if you think you can do something fun and cool, like I did. That's a bad time. I was doing this thing where basically, suppose you got your telescope, right, and you've got an eyepiece slotted into it, so a little glass lens, pair of lenses, whatever, that will allow you to look through it at different magnifications. And you are looking at the moon. The moon is so bright that if you line your hand up to where the eyepiece is, but a little bit away, you can have the moon in the palm of your hand, because it will project a little bit. And if it's really, really dark where you are, you could even have it project onto the wall or whatever. And you can do this with the sun as well. But I really, really don't recommend it. Because I was doing it, I had the sun filter off to do it, and it was amazing because you could see the detail of look at these, right? You could see the incredible detail of the sunspots projected up onto the up onto my bedroom ceiling. And I got my phone to get a picture of it, and when I turned around, there was smoke billowing out of the barrel of the telescope, and I pulled out the eyepiece, and the plastic had started bubbling. So yeah, I don't recommend it. It can destroy your telescope. But the filter works great. It's basically like it's got a foil style metallic reflective side on one side and black on the other, so it's very, very opaque, and so like the incredible power of the sun just gets through like so faintly that sometimes like looking at the moon hurts my eye through the telescope, but with the sun filter on, it's never the case with the sun filter. What's everyone saying? Psalm for the Wilds build? Genderqueer, solar punk politically. A psalm for the Wilds build. I've never heard of this before. Sounds interesting. My spouse is reading Monk and Robot to me right now. I don't know what that is. Let me pick up Psalm. Also reading Manhunt by Gretchen Falker Martin, presumably. Trying to start Lathe of Heaven with my sister. That's like Kayla Gwen. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Have I got my chat set to the right thing? Oh, it's okay. It's automatically latest in Streamlabs, right? Whatever. I'm doing this. Okay, cool. So when I was doing the like animation of like the time lapse of different sun pictures, I was having to turn the pictures so that the like band of sunspots you can see lines up, because I'm not always taking the pictures at the same angle. It's actually quite hard to do that unless I was like not only always taking pictures at the equivalent time of day, because it wouldn't be quite the same time of day. I'd have to do a bunch of maths to figure out when to do that. But I'd need for my camera and telescope to be completely undisturbed the whole rest of the time, which like within my house is not I can't really guarantee it. It's actually quite funny. I never thought of my bedroom as having like wobbly floorboards at all. Like I thought of it as perfectly sturdy, and then getting a telescope and like looking through it and the image going like everywhere. If like I move the tiniest amount. Quite funny. We are ignoring that one. We're going on that one. Okay. Oh, what's that done there? Oh no. My partner has changed some driver stuff that's put in a new inverse selection. It should be Control-Shift-I like I tried, but it's got, now Control-Shift-I is bound to something else. Okay, new adjustment layer and curves, and same over here. But can't use Control-Shift-I, I need to use Select Inverse. There we go. Monk and Robot is the name of the duology that Psalm is a part of. The second is called Prayer for the Crown Shy. Huh. And down here... So the thing we're going to cover today in the Liberal Slop stream, the main topic is going to be Ezra Klein's interview with Ta-Nehisi Coates. If anyone is interested in extra credit, does anyone know what the does anyone know about this? I want to just gauge the audience knowledge before we go into it. Okay. Do I have anywhere I've taken a picture just of the middle of the pattern? Because it's like, I suppose these bottom right ones are that. But I only took one picture of the bottom right. That's nuts. I should have done way more of those. Alright. So, I learned about histograms and shit. Like I've come so far in my complete lack of photography knowledge before. I say as a disclaimer before I do something like embarrassing in photo editing on stream. Yeah. So when I mess with this, I generally make the darks really darks and the brights really brights, so that like the middle spots, the ombre of the sunspots, are really really. I I heard about the interview. I heard, and it sounds sloppy and horrific. Yeah, it's quite sloppy. I blame Wumbo for this. How could they betray me? Yeah, so yeah, it's the continuing saga. I was gonna maybe title the stream "The Ballad of Ezra Klein," like he's a Wild West gunslinger who's now departed us, ridden off into the sunset or whatever. I do credit what's happened, like his what we'll see in the interview. I do credit the Liberal Slop stream. I do think it's our fine work here at Liberal Slop Incorporated. What happened was, I said last stream, look, I was expecting. I should have gotten a clip of this from the VOD and played it so you all could see. But what happened is I cast a spell. I seriously cast a spell. I said I was expecting Liberal Slop to be defeated forever by my previous work against Liberal Slop. And obviously that hasn't happened. I was expecting it to like stagger on a little bit like a samurai who's lost a duel and then like collapse. But that hasn't happened during my time away from streaming. And I said that last stream. I said that a week ago. And I said that a week ago. And this week, in an interview with Ta-Nehisi Coates, Ezra Klein said, I don't know what my role is anymore. And we'll watch it. We'll watch it in a bit. I I have made myself a new intermission screen. Which I know it may be a little bit mean. I feel something for Ezra when I watch this interview. I don't feel anything for Brainworm Man, but I also loved this picture that I found this week. I was trying to look up, if people remember, previously on Liberal Slop, we found an article by someone whose name I have, because I'm actually going to cover them today. Let's go find that article. This one is by John Hendrickson, which was calling RFK the first MAGA Democrat, which, like, that worked out pretty interestingly, didn't it? He's now in Trump's cabinet. Like, you know, good job with Project MAGA Democrat, I guess. But it had this bizarre picture where RFK Jr. was standing on a milk crate in his office, and his office is a fucking mess. Like, they've not considered moving things around for a photo op at all. There's a toast rack of manila dossiers. One of the front says Ukraine on it, written in Sharpie. There's like a big ass PC, but he's using his laptop. I think there's like a tiger, and I think above that there's like a little surveillance camera in the ceiling. And they got RFK to stand on this milk crate, and it looks like a prank. Like, it looks like they've told him, don't worry, we're gonna crop it. Like, we'll crop it to be just like this much, and then you'll be like that with the tiger and the bookshelf, and it'll look so normal. And then they've just released the whole photo, which feels so mean. So mean. I was looking it up anyway, and I came across this picture of RFK, who, like, because I was looking for pictures for my Be Right Back screen, I thought he was just giving the best possible "We'll be right back" face. Like, you know, it's just like, it's quite magical. All right, we're fiddling with this. Do I think those colors match? Check it against the other screen for a second. Yes, I think that's a good color match. Okay. And then what I tend to do, and I tend to feel worst about this because it's the least like precise science and the most just me fiddling around bit, is I make sure these are all aligned as best I can. And then I just use like the feathered eraser to try and blend the edges between the composite photos so that hopefully they're lined up real nice. Like I say, it's not exact and scientific enough for me. It makes me a little bit sad. Quite a little bit sad, actually. This bit's all lined up. That's looking nice. If I wanted to check, it would be this one against that one. Are we looking? Yeah, that's nice as hell. Yeah, that's already nice as fuck. Okay, cool. Lost track of the many Slop excretors, but I think Ezra previously appeared in this saga with an article about how AI will fuck his wife better than You know what? I was already earlier today making a comparison between Ezra Klein and Nick Land, and in specific, like the way that Nick Land has become like so cocked to capital. Like he went insane, and he started saying, you know, capital is the greatest power in history, the most powerful force in human history, and it's an alien supercomputer that's dominating us and all this stuff. And I was just like, you know, I think that like every person who has acted to defend capital was obviously being informed by their desire for it and by its instructional power, and therefore all of those are like systemic forces. And at the same time, some people have had such an individually significant effect in the defense of capital from its inevitable collapse, that to just sort of claim, well, they're just part of capital, I don't like it so much. You know, I try to like, it's like when we think about systemic forces, they're not just tides. Like, they're not just, I don't know, like a physics problem force diagram in a in a spherical with spherical bodies in a vacuum. They're like, they do involve like history's bizarre little foibles, I think. Oh yeah. It's cool that Twitch shoves an ad on your screen the moment you interact with a streamer so you can't hear if they respond. I had not checked the chat in a second, so I'll respond to you now. Just pulled off my first ever charcoal face mask. That's fun. Felt incredible, but I am a goblin man who likes peeling dead skin after a sunburn. That's hilarious. Yeah, it's fun. Face masks are lovely. What a great little, like, a little treat for yourself. Ezra Klein. So people in chat saying they don't know about Ezra Klein. We should maybe catch up a little on what his deal is before we go into watching the interview. Wrong thing to erase. Here it is. Okay. Gonna take that edge off. And where's the other one? That edge off. And then, can I see this edge? Yes, I can. There it is. And then this one is like this. And now it's pretty smooth. It's pretty smooth. I've made my ball pretty smooth. I hope everyone enjoys my smooth ball. Husker, dude, thank you so much for... Oh, Mule, thank you so much for gifting Husker a subscription. That's really, really sweet. Everyone, please remember, I'm doing my job by streaming right now, and I like to get paid for doing my job, so please subscribe, or even better, use command TIP to get my stream tip link. I've forgotten how to do everything. I've forgotten how to say words about streams, even. And consider giving me some money if you wanna give me this money. If you wanna give me this money, do it. Brightness contrast. Is this all that worth fucking with? There's an interesting thing that comes out in messing with brightness and contrast, which is that like you just do see, like, not so much in the stills, but in the process of moving brightness and contrast back and forth, you see a lot more little like details on the sun that you wouldn't otherwise. The sun, by the way, is like one of the, I don't know, strangest objects to look at in the sky, and so like there is very, very, very specialist equipment for it. I have the most affordable sun filter at the moment. Might get a better one at some point. If somebody wanted to drop a fucking 10,000 pound dono, I would be able to get one of the like specially made robot tracking sun telescopes, because like when people get into like looking at the sun with telescopes, they get way the fuck into it. But no, I mean, I'd probably spend it on rent and bills if I'm real. All right, let's have a look at my previous attempt at compositing this. How's this looking? Okay, so I tipped it around to match the previous ones. Oh yeah, we can see a bit of the spin here. That's quite fun, isn't it? So I think these were 3 days in a row. What is it? The 10th, the 11th, the 12th. Yeah, and then the next one is like 2 weeks later. Good job, Sophie. But this one, is this one this one? Yes, I think so. Yes, I know so. No, it isn't. Hang on a second. 901. Oh, shit. Did I not composite my latest set of pictures? I should have done that on stream then if I was gonna... But they're kind of shit, though. Unfortunately, they're a bit shit. Like, the splodges are there, but I've not... I think there was cloud. I think I'm definitely making excuses for myself right now, but I think there was a layer of cloud that was making everything a bit fuzzy. I've also just cleaned my primary reflector. So in your telescope, you have like a slightly warped mirror that makes all the light focus towards a second smaller mirror that's angled, so that's the one you look at and take pictures through. But the first one, the dish, today I've just given it a really thorough clean. So hopefully next time I take pictures is going to be really nice. Each one of those spots is like the size of the Earth. Each one of yeah, maybe like the mid-sized ones, I think, and then the bigger ones can be quite significantly bigger. Let's actually check like sunspots range of sizes. It is completely nuts how big sunspots are. So Wikipedia, I already give you money, please. So diameters ranging from 16 kilometers to 160,000 kilometers. So Earth diameter. 12,000 kilometers roughly. So 160 is somewhat bigger than 12. That's my conclusion about that. I'm not actually going to bust out any more maths than that right now. Yeah, that's going to be it for now. Shall we talk about Ezra Klein? Yes, I think that's the next step of the plan. I'm not sure if this is any better than the one I'd composited before, to be honest. Okay, that's fine. So what did we cover on Ezra Klein before? There was a lot. 2 years ago, he was very, very caught up in the AI, the beginnings of the AI bubble, and he was very concerned that AI was going to destroy the whole world. So I think when we looked at examples of people unwittingly doing the marketing for AI because they are saying AI is going to become a real super intelligence and then everyone will be super in danger, therefore that means that the people working on it are actually geniuses and they should also be trusted in being vitally involved in the regulatory bodies that the government forms to regulate the industry. Just the worst. But yeah, he was falling for it hook, line, and sinker. It was a bit rough. He has a lot of other frustrating lib takes. But his position, like, Let me just check this. He's married to another Atlantic columnist, Annie Lowry. I think Annie Lowry's also New York Times, also Washington Independent, proponent of universal basic income. Good for her. And is she not? I was sure one or the other of them had like a kind of senior editorial role at The Atlantic. Maybe it's Ezra Klein himself, actually. But like my point is that he's so like deeply enmeshed there. Oh, he is just the New York Times, huh? I'd misremembered him, I guess. I mean, I'd misremembered his like specific liberal publication. It's not like what a bizarre guy. Are there not Ezra Klein Atlantic articles at all? Hey Vord, good to see ya. Derek Thompson and Ezra Klein on abundance. Oh no. Oh no. I've been warned about looking into abundance. Oh god, they've got a book together called Abundance. Oh my god. So this is just imperialist National Socialism, right? Like, to be clear, I have avoided looking into it too much because I wanted to make it a deliberate like subject of research on the stream. But they are just talking about clean energy, transit, affordable housing. You know, never socialism. Just liberalism should be an advertisement for liberalism. Democrats should be able to say, vote for us and we'll make America like California. Aha, okay. Yeah, it's exactly this. They should just be pursuing abundance, okay. Sam Outside, thank you for subscribing at tier 3. Everyone please remember, if you like the stream, that you can consider subscribing to the stream or tipping me using command !tip. Okay, no. He's not an Atlantic guy after all. No, we are going to start with Ezra Klein for sure. What do I want to say about Ezra Klein? Yeah, he was falling for it with the AI bubble, with the AI like hype that he didn't know he was generating. I would be curious to know if he reconsidered at all after they like almost certainly had a whistleblower killed. Like, I would be curious about what he feels about AI at this time. Maybe some of this will come up. I haven't watched the whole thing. I've watched like half of it. But he, this whistleblower was a whistleblower on, I think, OpenAI, committed suicide allegedly, with 65 gunshots to his own face or whatever. And it was like, the whistleblowing was about the ways that AI was violating copyright law. Like it was saying, people refer to abundance libs as treatlers. Yeah, because if they don't get their treats, they get in the Hitler car. It makes sense. Exploit the imperial periphery and just have treats. Yeah. It's interesting, seeing people fall for this kind of shit when they get way into the like abstract discourse of politics, which, you know, prepare yourselves for. We're going to be getting way into that. Most of what we want to look at is going to concern the work of politics over here, which is just oof. Oof. Do I have the Zach Polanski thing up still? Yeah, we're going to look at some Zach Polanski stuff as well, which is interesting because I think, you know, we are looking inside the world of electoral politics here. It's interesting, the successes and failures to understand movements of solidarity between people that Klein displays here. Especially as, you know, last time we read his Charlie Kirk article and he understood, right? He understood he understood the class perfectly well, the class that he and Charlie Kirk were in as the political commentariat, and he literally ended the article like, all of us are safe or none of us are. It's invisible to him that, you know, as he says at the start of the article, he says at the start of the article, to lose the ability to participate in politics without fear of violence is to lose everything. And Charlie Kirk just lost everything. And it's like, Charlie Kirk has made it so many people have either lost or were refused the opportunity to gain the ability to participate in politics without violence. Like, every trans person is dragged into participating in politics by stupid conversations from cis people where they're immediately at risk of violence, like, all the fucking time. Like, it should be the case that migrants in America can participate in politics without the fear of violence. But nope. What are we saying in chat? Saying that ChatGPT fucking suicided a man in Minecraft for copyright law whistleblowing. Jesus wept. Well, this is my point about, you know, that should make people like Ezra Klein think. Since he loves to think. he loves to be thoughtful and be thinking all the time. Because if it were genuinely a scary thing to AI companies that the AI might become sentient and take over the world, they would have the guys who say, I was working on ChatGPT late at night and I turned it off and it turned itself back on and then ordered a Domino's and then fucked my wife. Like, those guys would be allegedly committing suicide. Not the guy who says, I think this is seriously infringing copyright law by the way that it trains on data and the way it processes and reproduces stuff. Earlier I joked about, you know, Ezra Klein being defeated by the power of the liberal slop stream, and I would like us to consider, as a class, what the forces are that have actually, like, put him in the position where his role doesn't make any sense anymore. Yeah, so I'm going to start this from... I'm going to start this at where... Do they call it hashing out their different... No, they don't. Okay. They had an earlier bit they described within the interview as, like, hashing out our differences around the Charlie Kirk stuff. I might play in from the start for a little bit. We're mostly going to be focusing on the work of politics down here. I just want to give the context for, like, why... Like, what they're talking about is that Ezra Klein wrote this fucking dog shit article saying, no, don't be happy that Charlie Kirk's dead, that's not allowed. What if people want to shoot me? It's like, no one wants to shoot you, Ezra. No one knows who you are. Like, sorry, but just, like, you know. And Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote an article as well. Okay, let's watch this.
Things that are true about what President Donald Trump said at Charlie Kirk's memorial service.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie.
One is that it's frightening to see the President of the United States talk this way about his political foes.
I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry.
The other, I think, is that it's an opportunity. I don't think that is a strong politics. And for me, one of the central questions animating the show this year, that has been animating it since the election, is how did we get here? How did we let these people get back into power? What went wrong in our approach to politics that we ended up here?
I'll be real, Ezra. I would also like to examine that question, but I think I already have quite a few answers that I was happy to offer the fucking minute Donald Trump was elected, and for quite a while before that as well. What's bizarre to me is how much this kind of pundit, this kind of writer, makes make space for like being thoughtful, like, you know, considering stuff, doing the podcast voice and all this. But like the answers from the left are out there, and yeah, sure, maybe not in your Twitter replies where people are getting mad at you and calling you a class traitor and saying that you're selling out the country by fucking like not saying the Democratic Party should oppose the genocide or all these kinds of things. But there is plenty of like intellectual and intelligent leftist writing. So if you are like a bit of a professional navel gazer and curious about the arguments from the left, you could respond to them. And I think I have been keeping an eye on liberal slop, not a close one, while I've not been streaming, but I haven't seen, you know, responses from people, like thoughtful responses from people to the notion that if Kamala Harris wanted to win, she should oppose the genocide, properly support trans people, properly guarantee protections of migrants, that she should have, as vice president, been enacting things immediately that would protect Americans from the rise of fascism in, like, you know, in legal mechanisms or whatever. And hey, like, imagine this, like, supporting the an amendment to the Constitution to allow abortion. Like, imagine that, right? Like, imagine a cis woman who wants to be the first female president, promising to defend abortion at a time when there is patriarchal fascism on the rise, specifically patriarchal fascism, right? Like specifically a bunch of people who align around treating women like property. People who align with people like Andrew Tate, who just like professes that he thinks rape is good, right? Like this incredibly driven misogynistic fascism that, like, yes, is racist, is transphobic, is eugenic and all of these things, but like in its character of everyday discussion is so much about belief in like the great men of history shit and so much about the suppression of women's autonomy. Imagine then if you were opposing that movement, you saying, hey, I'm gonna like federally protect abortion. I'm just gonna do it. Fucking imagine. You know? I would love to see responses from people from these kind of big liberal publications that argue in any kind of sensible, like coherent way that opposing Israel at a time when the vast majority of voters opposed Israel, promising to protect abortion, which would have uncomplicatedly been a popular thing. You know, like I could be arguing for trans people here, right? That could be the main thrust of my argument as a trans woman experiencing like the legalistic and societal and media dehumanization constantly of like British society against trans people. I could be arguing those, but like even taking just the idea that people like Ezra Klein seem to function on, that like what is popular is good, and we'll get to like what he considers to constitute what is popular. Polling all said those would have been popular decisions. So why? Yeah, the question is why.
This has been a conversation I've been engaged in since Charlie Kirk's murder. And I wanted to have it with somebody who has maybe not liked who I've been approaching it. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a writer I admire, somebody I have a genuine friendship with. In the days after Kirk's murder, he published a piece in Vanity Fair, pretty harshly critical of what I had written. He compared what I was doing there to the whitewashing of the Southern cause after the Civil War. I think it would be the height of hypocrisy for me to say we need to reach across divides and disagreement and then not talk across my own. So I wanted to talk to Ta-Nehisi about the piece, about the aftermath of Kirk's murder, but also about a disagreement, or a question at least, that I think is about more than Kirk. I think there's something very unsettled in the sort of broad coalition of the left around the work of politics, around who we talk to and when and how. When is that work moral? When is it necessary? When is it a betrayal? As always, my email, EzraKleinShow@nytimes.com. Ta-Nehisi Coates, welcome back to the show.
thanks. I don't know what number time this is. But
I think you're one of the. If you go back to the box days, I think you're one of the. You're on the leaderboard for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you, man.
Good to be here, Ezra. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's jump into the disagreement. You wrote a column responding to my column on Charlie Kirk.
Which is so uncomfortable.
It's okay. What was your disagreement with what I wrote after Kirk was assassinated?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to thank you for having me. You know, I know that I've had to read things about myself that, criticize my work. It's never easy. And people often have a very, very different response than the one you had, which is to invite me here and to talk it out. So I appreciate that. I want to say that up front. I felt that when I initially read the column, and I guess we should be fully transparent here and say there was a discussion between us privately before there was a public thing.
Yeah, we text.
Yeah, we did. We do text regularly, and we did text about this. So I
Weirdo of Oz says, "Oh, this is his YouTuber apology video in columnist form." I think he might honestly come into this expecting that he is gonna school Ta-Nehisi Coates and not the other way around. I don't know, but I don't know that this was arranged as him actually saying, "Oops, I should not have said Charlie Kirk was practicing politics the right way." I'm not sure, but Lorcan, oh my goodness, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the stream. Lovely to see you here. What was I saying? Yeah, maybe it's that. But I think when we get to Ezra Klein saying, "I don't know what my role is anymore," it becomes something interestingly different, I think.
Having not done the research that I eventually did for the college, there was something off about what I knew about this guy. And the presentation of him as, and I don't want to misquote you here, but as basically a paragon of politics and how politics should be done. So I think I had the same reaction that most ordinary people would have, which is absolute horror. At the idea that this guy was somewhere speaking and was killed. But I always think it's important to differentiate how people die versus how they live. And then after doing the research, I had to be honest with you. That's when it got really, really difficult. When I went past my initial impressions and started going through all of the clips of the things he said, the way he talked about people, the way he, described groups in ways that honestly, even as I was writing it, I was uncomfortable saying. And so the idea that this guy should be in any way celebrated for how he conducted politics. The fact that he just slurred across the board, all sorts of groups of people, and then ran an organization wherein, which appeared to me just a haven of hatred. I would not want that to be a model for my politics. And I know, as we talked between us that, you are not attempting to make a statement for the entirety of it. But I guess I feel like at a certain point, somebody's legacy, or somebody does something that is so large, that it's tough to think about their legacy and take that out of it. And that's how I felt about him.
So I think I want to get at the right level of disagreement here. So I think one thing for me is that, I don't know, for me, the immediate hours after somebody is murdered in public, when you see that sort of grief and horror pouring out of the people who loved him, and many people loved him, my instinct then is to just sit with them in their grief, right? To say, I can, for this moment, find some way to grieve with you, to see your friend the way, or in some version of the way you saw him, right? That's not my view of, the person's whole legacy.
Yeah, the thing about lots of discussion of how Ezra looks in this, the thing that gets me about this is simply wearing a tie to podcast. Just literally just putting on, I mean, I've done my makeup nice to do a stream or whatever, but it's just very funny to me, putting on a tie to podcast. It's such a specific kind of guy.
But going to people when they're grieving like that and saying, listen, I want to tell you really what I thought of your friend, just feels like not what you do in a kind of a community.
Sorry, I was muted there. All right. I think I just want to quickly say this misses, like, I think the context of, like, politically motivated action and it being a political assassination. Like, if Charlie Kirk got hit by a bus, if he got leukemia and deteriorated rapidly and suddenly died, or, hey, like, if he got COVID would be an interesting comparison, right? Because the other TPUSA founder, the other founder of this anti-vax organization died of COVID. Like, there are different contexts to someone's death that would make certain comment kind of inevitable, and Charlie Kirk being someone who said some gun deaths are unfortunately necessary for the freedom that the Second Amendment brings. Like, that on its own invites comment, but like the fact that there was a thinking, breathing human being who would want to pull the trigger on this guy, that invites comment too. And when normal Americans just people who don't have an NYT column or podcast are hurting so badly because, ICE is coming to abduct their neighbors, because the economy is fully just like in a recession, but the government won't admit it because the world of fictitious capital is so far divorced from like people's everyday lives that like the stock market can be booming and also the price of an egg can be $500. Like, when all that's going on and someone who is a representative of the regime that's doing this to people is killed by someone, all of that invites comment. Just does invite comment. And the fact that he's a Nazi is going to be part of the discussion then, basically.
I can see people coming down on both sides of that.
I actually think that actually is a great impulse, that after somebody's been killed, and not just killed, but because we live in the media environment that we live in, that it's seen and that it will live forever. And that person's family, you know what I mean?
That it was being looped in front of all of us.
Jesus Christ.
Which I think has a lot to do with how this was taken.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. And to have to go, like, to have young kids who have to grow up knowing that is a thing that exists in the world. You know what I mean?
And I'll go one step further on this. One thing I wrote about in that piece that I do worry about is I worry we are already in a cycle of political violence, of mimetic violence. I think about Pelosi. I think about Shapiro. I think about the near assassination on Trump. I think about...
He is worried they are already in a cycle of political violence towards people with podcaster level fame or higher. He is worried they are in a cycle of violence towards people like him, and it does not seemingly worry him the systemic violence, the massive increase of systemic violence as America admits its fascism, reveals and makes naked its fascism, and the boots are on the necks of the most precarious people in society. Like, that Kirk did that, right?
When after that happened, I thought about me, I thought about you, I thought about all kinds of people I know, right? So I do think there's just something about when violence takes hold that like, that there's something about it that it begins to breach all lines.
Yeah. So
anyway,
I guess...
that was part of my reaction too.
I think all of that is understandable, but I guess, was silence not an option?
Yeah, silence to me was not grieving with people.
Whoa!
I felt it.
Holy shit! That's a really interesting. How long have we been going? Like 7 minutes already. Ezra, that was all really interesting 7 minutes of just, your musings and thoughts. But like, could you shut the fuck up? Like, what if instead of saying anything, you had said nothing because this sucks?
Was it important, as someone who is liberal, as someone who has a voice, that there are moments like that? Like, I really do feel, and it's funny because you said something like this in your piece, but it was a little bit more offhanded, that political violence like that is an attack on us all.
Right.
And that in that moment, it creates, for me, even if it's very temporary, that it's important in a moment like that to sort of, come together, to try to see other people in their grief, to try to cool things down just a little bit. I guess.
Logan says, but Soph, the world needed to hear from Ezra Klein. Yeah, that is the assumption that Ezra Klein operates on. And hey, look, I am aware of the glass house I am here in, right? Like, I see it, but like, it's interesting. My partner asked me, if you were on the spot being asked about like, what is your role? And I think we'll skip forward just next. So I just thought that, and all of that was a good amount to give context to where the discussion comes in. Like if my partner asked, like, if you got the same question, like, what is your role? What would you say? Because like, Ezra Klein is ultimately a guy doing a job, and I'm a gal doing a job. In fact, I'm doing my job right now, and I like when I get paid for my job, so maybe consider using Command Tip or subscribing to the stream, and then I get money. Sorry. What was I saying? What is your role, right? Like, Klein says, I don't know what my role is anymore. This is a very interesting discussion they get into, and it's interesting to like reflect on the broader political moment. But I think his role was clear to him at some point. I think he would have described it really, really easily and well and eloquently. And when my partner asked me this, I said, my role is to try and create revolutionary informational infrastructure, right? Like for people who are organizing and engaging in activism and political action to like know of each other so they can cross-pollinate, to like be able to refer to like interviews that we do on Red Planet. For like half a decade now, I've been interviewing activists and organizers, and you don't even have to like introduce people to each other if you do that, right? Like they will find each other, because like a lot of people who've been on Red Planet have like continued to watch Red Planet. We've gotten messages before from people. There are some people who've like continued to hang out in like joined our Patreon Discord or whatever, because they like the show or whatever, and that creates this cross-pollination that I think is really important, and is part of why we've always been like a very broadly just revolutionary show, just like people who do organizing or activism in this area or this area or this area, whatever, like the fronts of revolution toward a more equitable, sustainable world. Because then they get to know each other, and that's like really important. It's always important to find like solidarity across different areas of struggle, because we're all in the same class of human beings trying to be free. And like I think that a lot of the rest of what I do is window dressing for that, like is trying to get Red Planet to be a success, trying to get like revolutionary informational infrastructure to be a success. I think that a lot of my video essays, like there's a back and forth between stuff I think is really important to say and stuff that I think is like drawing people to the channel perhaps. But then my partner said, like, but you get to define your role. And I think, yeah, like I think that Ezra Klein has some amount of creative freedom, but I think it becomes interesting to consider the systemic forces on him as a person that lead to him, saying Charlie Kirk was practicing politics the right way, or him backing AI stuff, that like he is trying to follow what he views as like very intellectual discussion, sometimes important discussion, sometimes politically vital discussion from his perspective. But he exists within a milieu. And I think that it's like one thing worthwhile in looking at and understanding liberal slop is understanding the systemic forces on columnists, because like this is why understanding stuff like Chomsky's manufacturing consent and understanding the propaganda model helps us to see like it may be there are people with really fucked up opinions out there, but a lot of the people expressing the most fucked up opinions, we already know this is like a bit of a trap. Like Trump, right, is magnificent at what he does, which is just get attention. But there's a whole machinery around him, and people like Ezra are part of that machinery. We'll look at a New York Times piece later on the stream, actually, someone who really wants us to know one thing about Gustavo Petro, the Colombian president, and really doesn't much want us to think too hard about another thing. Like these people are making decisions, and yet their decisions are informed by ideology. I sometimes say ideology is like artificial reefs, if you're familiar with how artificial reefs work, because the waves through your mind and the organisms in there, you have some control over those, but moreover you have a thriving ecosystem that feels entirely nascent, entirely unshaped by outside forces, but the flows of of those waves in your mind and what is deposited and what flourishes and what blooms is shaped by artificial constructs that were put there. Let's go forward in the interview to, we want to see what if you don't get to draw the line. I think we're going to look at not at the expense of my neighbor's humanity, because this should be some discussion of what we were just talking about.
You know what I mean? It's very, very important to me, given the post I have, to say I see you, but also this dude was wrong. And I'm all for unifying, I'm all for bridging gaps, but not at the expense of my neighbor's humanity. I just can't.
I think the thing we go to there, right? Not at the expense of my neighbor's humanity. Because I've gotten a lot of that in email, right? Like, how am I supposed to talk to these people? How am I supposed to deal with these people who are denying my humanity?
I'm not against talking to him about it. I'll talk to you very clearly.
Yeah, sure.
I have no problem with that.
I guess the place where I'm not even 100% sure if we disagree, if you just like sort of see your role differently, right? I think that in losing as badly as we have imperiled trans people terribly.
Yes.
Politics is for power.
Joe Biden did that.
Politics is for...
Oh! Fucking, oh! The blind side with this one. Fucking hell. All right. Yeah, no, let's fucking hear it, Ezra. Let's fucking hear it.
Power. And so I think that the question I am just genuinely struggling with isn't how to have like a great kumbaya moment. But I think it is taking seriously that something we're doing is not working. I mean, I had Sarah McBride, who's the first trans member of Congress on the show. And, you know, we were talking about every single survey you can offer on like trans rights has gone in the wrong direction the past couple of years, right? We've just begun to lose that argument terribly. And that has put people in real danger. So I take your point when you say, look, I want people to feel seen in my writing. And I want people to feel seen in my writing and my podcasting. But I think the place I'm trying to push towards is I think that there is a diminishment of the political coalition building that we now need to do, because we have come to the view that a pretty wide variety of people are in some ways kind of deplorables. I think it's weakened a bit in the last couple of years.
I would never use that language. Jesus Christ.
But
like, that's not, so when you ask me about that Hillary Clinton, that's what, like, I would never say it like that.
That's great. I think it's good that you wouldn't say it like that, but and I'm not saying...
I don't even think that, by the way. Like, right. I don't even focus on people that, look, I am at war with certain ideologies and ideas, and I want them expunged. I want to turn them into phrenology. That's what I want. But I don't want the people, you know what I mean, out. Like, when you start talking about who people are and their bones, like that.
So in a way, I'm not sure. I mean, in a way, I think we're saying something not too dissimilar.
Ta-Nehisi kicking it right out of the entire park again and again. Like, fuck yes. Like, this is exactly it. I've had, like, asks on my Tumblr recently. By the way, if people like sending Tumblr asks about politics or whatever, and you want, like, a few paragraphs response, like, I enjoy doing that. You can do that. But I get asked sometimes. People are like, you know, I struggle with like how badly I like want bad things to happen to fascists, and I'm like, yeah, like if we're talking about like the leadership of the fascist project, yeah, like it's okay to want that. It's okay to imagine what you want to imagine. Like it's actually not illegal to imagine, I don't know, like Wes Streeting getting like exploded with a rocket launcher, and then people come to pick up all the pieces. But everyone who does so like has slippery fingers because they were just making pastry, and so they drop all the pieces directly into a sewer, and then like just sewer alligators covered in shit are just like chomping up the bits of him. You know, like it's okay to imagine, like it's not actually illegal. But whether bad things will happen to those people, like if they will be punished in a legal system, that depends on organizing, and whether they will be punished by vigilante justice, that depends on individual people who make the decision to take a life, which is, you know, not a decision to take lightly. But when it comes to just like your MAGA uncle, like I say as the kind of freak that your MAGA uncle would like to see completely removed from the world, who he then also looks up on Pornhub. He changed at some point, and he can change in a different direction as well. I definitely agree with this.
Similar here. I guess the place where I felt a lot of pushback, and maybe this was not your pushback, right? Was, the first piece I can just sort of, I accept that there's a disagreement on what to do in the 24 hours after a death. You feel like I was whitewashing the guy, and I felt like I was sort of.
Do.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
It's very upsetting.
I know you do. The second piece I did, which I think you saw, was more
the
about
way
this
that
question
Ta-Nehisi is just cringing through this whole entire interview, because he's just like, I need you to, for us to be friends, I need you to, understand that what you did was horrible.
What are we going to do living here in sort of two types of disagreement, right? One with a right that where Charlie Kirk has become sort of the center of it, right? He's not unusual for the MAGA coalition. He's a sort of uniting force within it, and the kind of things he believed and the way he did his politics. And then two, what are we going to do? How are we going to be here with people who are halfway there, right?
Was he saying this to call Charlie Kirk a moderate there? Because he said that trans people are an abomination and should be stoned in public and just beaten in public. It doesn't matter if you view that guy as being moderate in a sample size of a guy slightly to the left of him and slightly to the right of him. The view itself is abhorrent, and you can't be saying the guy was doing politics the right way. That's still just evil.
What does it mean to be in this political community together? What do you think about that question?
About how to live together.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think it's a truth. You know what I mean? I think it's it's a foregone. We are. I really, really believe that. There's no real choice about this. I'm not renouncing my American citizenship. They're not renouncing their American citizenship. So this then, as far as I'm concerned, is a contest of ideas and narratives. Again, all I can go to is my role as a writer. And my role as a writer is to state things as clearly as I possibly can, to make them in such a way that they haunt, to state truths, and to reinforce the probably.
I'm sorry, but it's just if Ezra Klein is saying we let trans people down, I will not make this whole thing about trans people, but if he's saying we let trans people down, and he works for the New York Times, and his wife works for the Atlantic, and they have doubtless friends who work for the New Statesman, the Guardian Weekly, the Observer, the Economist, right? Everything that publishes various kinds of liberal slop. Then when the current of turf slop was passing through, and it's not even it's done now, there's still more of it, right? But when that current was passing through, they could have taken a stand, and I don't just mean write a piece saying I think trans people are neat or whatever, but I mean going to the editor and being this is wrong and will cause serious harm to people. So many people at the Guardian quit. This is a known thing. I think people who know people involved in media and politics in the UK understand that with trans media coverage, at its height, 1,000 articles a month, speculating on trans people's genitals, talking about abstract hypotheticals that are still always just this bombardment of sexual harassment that itself is designed to create these wedges to ebb away our rights and our ability to exist in public. The Guardian, admittedly, you could criticize where this wound things up, but a lot of people quit in protest, and it's been pointed out that the situation that results in is then it's just TERFs who work there. But, quitting is an extreme action, and organized quitting could be, an action with some real effect to it. Kirk wasn't moderate, he was moderating his speech. His job was to make fascism polite and palatable. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trans, I'm terrified for trans people I love, but also, why are we not first talking about all the non-white people being deported to torture jail and being disappeared? Yeah, exactly. That's, yeah. Yep. All right.
Notion of my politics, and that is that all humanity is equal and is worthy of that. And I actually think all of the sort of political and policy positions are, that I probably find myself in sympathy with, are attempting to affect that, in the real world. And again, I'm putting aside your piece, but I'm just thinking about the moment we're in. When I hear or see people who are honored and commemorated in such a way so that they almost become a national religious figure, and then I see their content, and I see that their content is actively destructive to humanity, I have to draw a line there. Like, I think, like, for me, like, the bigger question is, where are the lines? You know what I mean? And I think there's no problem with saying, listen, you can't hurl epithets at people. You're out if you do that. I'm sorry. Look, you want to have a debate about whether we should have affirmative action, in colleges? I'm here for it. You want to have a debate?
What does it mean to be on the other side of the line?
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
What is it? So once somebody's on the other side of the line,
right?
What does that mean for you?
For instance, once you think it's okay.
No.
I'm trying to make this concrete.
Yeah, no, I am too.
Yes.
Once for whatever the definition of the line is,
right?
What does it mean for you for somebody to be on the other side of it? Right, not somebody who just died,
right?
But somebody still